A deal is a deal, and we will do everything in our power to hold you to this deal. CUPE members have provided you with uninterrupted services for 77 consecutive years. Our members are on the job, many performing some of the more dirty and difficult jobs in unbearable working conditions like we've had for the last month. Many of these employees have dedicated their entire lives to working for this city, and they do not deserve the unprincipled and confrontational stance that you've adopted.
Workers have not always had the right to join unions and negotiate contracts. Employers argued that if workers didn't like their wages or working conditions, they were free to quit. This rough-and-tumble approach bred conflict. Over time, workers taught employers and governments that their unions were here to stay. The age of collective begging turned to one of collective bargaining. Unions and employers negotiated legal contracts. Talks could be tough. Strikes still took place, but everyone knew the rules. A deal would be a deal. In January 1995, Local 500 of the Canadian Union of Public Employees reached a new contract with the City of Winnipeg. City Councillor Bill Clement negotiated the contract on behalf of the city. Let's hear what he had to say about contracts.
Deal and the deal is deal. Democratically it was voted on, and that's the way it was, and you go from there.
A deal is a deal. And just what was in the 5-year deal that CUPE negotiated with the city in 1995?
And the fact of the matter is we're going to save $1 million in the course of this agreement in sick leave cash out alone, and beyond that, it just keeps on coming. We have the ability to move employees around to make our new directions work. We have no prohibition now from contracting out, a flexibility that we are going to have, in my view. We don't have to pay for driver's licenses anymore. It's a small savings, but it's something that bothers some people. Those are 5 issues, without trying hard, Mr. Speaker, of things that are coming back our way.
Councillor John Angus also thought the agreement was beneficial to the city.
Look at other things in this particular agreement that I find is beneficial. A 4-year, count them, 4-year no increase wage settlement. It's from the last wage increase they had until September of 1996.
CUPE members won a modest wage increase, a promise of consultation prior to contracting out, and 5 years of job security. City workers ratified it. City Council passed it by a vote of 11-4. After that, it was a done deal. Or it should have been.
Everybody's pretty mad. Deal's a deal, and there's a lot of things coming up. The Winter Cities Conference, Pan Am Games, that's why we got a 5-year deal. We'll see what happens then.
We made concessions in the last round, and they turned around and they want to chop us further, and where's it going to end?
We've done all we could to help them save their budget the last time, and they're doing this to us again.
What had happened? On Thursday, January 25th, 1996, Mayor Susan Thompson released her proposed budget. She was asking the province to roll back the wages of city workers by 2% in 1996 and 2% the following year. She celebrated the budget as an example of her ability to keep her election promises.
You work for a living and they slash your wages. All is fair, perhaps nothing is fair. In contract negotiations with the City of Winnipeg, 780.
Less than a week after the budget was released, Council met to approve it. The first person to speak to Council that day was Local 500 President Paul Moist.
Just 2 weeks ago, Mayor Thompson, you put your signature to the final copy of the CUPE collective agreement, which is now at the printers. Now, you're presiding over an EPC budget which seeks to break the deal that you freely entered into. You want to hold us to the end of the bargain, which ends sick leave cash out and paves the way for you to take it away from all civic unions and associations. You want to hold us to the freeze on long service pay that we freely entered into with you. But now, you want to take away other aspects of the deal that you don't like, and you want to block our entitlement to a 1% wage increase after 43 months of freeze. Shame on you! Where's the integrity? Where's the commitment to your staff?
Bill Clement, the man who a year earlier had said a deal is a deal, supported breaking the deal he had signed with CUPE. He had nothing to say in response to Moist's speech. John Angus had warned of the dangers of labor strife. Now he supported breaking the deal with CUPE. Newly elected councillor Garth Steek.
I don't begrudge those people 1 cent of it. They work hard, they negotiated in good faith, and they deserve it.
But he was not going to give it to them. Councillor Lillian Thomas was one of those who supported CUPE 500.
Who's going to talk to the councillors of the city of Winnipeg after they've been slapped upside the head and told their collective agreement is worth nothing? Why do politicians have a bad reputation? Decisions like this.
Harry Lazarenko reminded the councillors that when it came to helping the Jets, the mayor and her supporters had been prepared to spend tens of millions of dollars on high-priced consultants.
When I presented a motion some time ago, Mr. Speaker, in respect to the Jets lawsuit that the city of Winnipeg is paying, possible litigations that we may seek outside legal counsel to see if we can get out of that. What did some members of council say? Councillor Silva said a contract is a contract. Let's get on with the city business.
If a deal is made with millionaire lawyers and hockey players, the deal is a deal. The city of Winnipeg does millions of dollars of business with outside businesses and suppliers. No one is telling them that they must take a 2% cut in their fees. But at City Hall, secretaries, street repair workers, electricians are not important people. You can tell them one thing one day and break your word the next. If they don't like it, they can look for work elsewhere.
This is union busting, is what they're after. They're going out after the unions with everything they can illegally muster. It's not right. We're going back 100 years. We're looking at slave labor is what they're going for.
Let me be crystal clear about one thing, and you can take this to the bank on behalf of every CUPE member. We have no intention of voluntarily opening up our collective agreement, and we won't do it. It was a tough deal, and we're prepared to live by it in its entirety until December 1999. And should you move to adopt a budget with this assumption built into it, be advised that we will move to meet with our members, and we will do everything in our power to hold you to the agreement that you entered into with us.
Over the following weeks, Local 500 mounted a campaign designed to mobilize its membership and generate public support. The union filed an unfair labor practices charge with the Labor Board.
The elected council of the citizens of the city of Winnipeg is not above the law.
Thousands of local members demonstrated at the opening of the Winter Cities Conference. The mayor had hoped CUPE and other unions would reopen their contracts as soon as she asked for the legislation. When they stood firm, her plans started to unravel. After 4 weeks of a public campaign, CUPE held a mass membership meeting. The union's national president, Judy Darcy, reminded them of the victory Calgary laundry workers had won when they walked off the job to protest contracting out.
They took a stand. They took a stand, they drew that line in the sand, and they said enough is enough is enough, and they built public support in the province of Alberta like we have never ever seen, and guess what? They got the government of Ralph Klein to back down, and if they can do that to the government of Alberta, I say we can do it to the council in the city of Winnipeg, and we are going to do it. Let's make no mistake about that.
Manitoba Federation of Labour President Rob Hilliard reminded Local 500 members that all Manitoba workers were in the same fight.
Fair and equitable. We're fighting for fair value for our work and our contributions to our country, which is one of the richest in the world. We're fighting for a decent standard of living for our families. And we're fighting for equal opportunity for our children, who now face a stacked deck against them, thanks to policies put in place by Mulroney, by Chrétien, by Philman, and now by Thompson.
But the real message was not the one given that day in the Winnipeg Convention Centre. The CUPE executive had scheduled a general membership vote for the following Tuesday. Members were going to be asked if they were prepared to open their contract.
Why a vote? I haven't had one member of Local 500 complain about the approach that we've charted over the last 4 weeks. It's been universally supported. And the vote isn't needed. I think your executive knows exactly where you sit on this question. But the vote is needed for other reasons. It's needed for the 10 members of council who are voting to do this to you. It's needed for the provincial government, as Judy Darcy said a moment ago. They need to know that each and every member of this local is outraged by the city's actions.
The membership delivered that message loud and clear. Over 98% of union members said they wanted the city to live up to its contract. Then the Labor Board weighed in with a message of its own. The city was guilty of committing an unfair labor practice.
We'll review the details. We'll certainly look at...
Public support for the union continued to mount. CUPE members began to collect names on petitions, contact business people, and submit suggestions on how the city could save money and meet its obligations to its employees. Faced with a united front, the mayor's support on city council began to fall apart. The mayor was forced to withdraw her budget, and the union members heaved a sigh of relief.
Had the members of our union and the citizens of Winnipeg not stood up and fought for what we believe to be right, to be moral, this legislation would have gone through. This could have easily have gone through. I've learned from this that if we don't stand up and fight for what we believe to be right, that we can begin to lose basic things, such as the right to be dealt with fairly, the right to be dealt with dignity and with respect. And the things that we just take for granted are things that we can so easily lose.
Let's draw strength from believing in ourselves and our union. And let's close ranks. Let's support one another. And together, let's win. Thank you.